Hi guys, I'm Shmee. Hello to you and welcome back to the channel where you join me on a beautiful morning with this incredibly brutal car behind me, the new Zenvo TSR-S. We had a first glance at the new Danish hypercar at the Geneva Motorshow, but today we're going to look around it in more detail and even jump in to go for a ride. We're down in the south of France, just above Monaco. Spectacular views behind us, amazing roads around us as well. It's during Top Marks Monaco weekend, but let's take a proper look at this incredible beast, the Zenvo TSR-S. I think the best way to describe the Zenvo TSR-S is pure aggressive. Look at the design, the styling, the aerodynamics that you can see from the extended front splitter matching up with a ginormous wing at the rear. It's an active rear wing that not only does air braking functionality, but also pivots from side to side to help with downforce through cornering. We'll talk more about that later on. The TSR-S is the third model in Zenvo's lineup. You have the TS1 GT, the regular road car, so to speak, TS standing for twin supercharged. And then from that, you have the TSR, R for race, their pure hardcore track-only car. And then you have this model, the latest, the TSR-S, appending the S on the end for street. This is a road-legal car, but do not be confused. This is about as hardcore as they come. Just look at it. So you don't have any features inside like air conditioning or a radio. You don't even have airbags in the car. You have carbon buckets and a racing harness set. But that is what it's for. It's for the ultimate in hardcore experience. The car is very firmly lodged into hypercar territory, nearly 1,200 horsepower. So obviously mid-rear engine mounted, rear wheel drive, but back here is Zenvo's own 5.8 litre twin supercharged V8. It makes 1,177 horsepower and around 1,180 Newton meters of torque. Just take those numbers in for a second. They are phenomenally huge. That means 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, 62 miles an hour, in just 2.8 seconds. 0 to 200 kilometers an hour, or 124, is only 6.8 seconds. The car will go on to a limited top speed of 325 kilometers an hour. That's 202 miles per hour. And you can imagine a whole lot of downforce while it goes about it, thanks in part to this rear wing at the back. It's a complete carbon fibre feast throughout the car, the inside the engine bay as well, as we saw at the Geneva Motorshow. The car weighs 1,495 kilos. There is a 7-speed paddle shift gearbox with straight cut gears, and that is particularly interesting, as we'll discover while we're out in the car going for a ride in it shortly. Now, just to come through and tell you something I only recently found out, the name Zenvo comes from founder of the company, Troels Volotsen. So Sen for Zen and Vo at the start of the surname, making Zenvo, just changing the S to a Z, which is very, very cool. And we're going to be joining Troels shortly for the ride, so I'm looking forward to that an awful lot. But just to start a little bit more around the front and what we're looking at, this large central front grille has been a distinct feature of Zenvo models to date. They've incorporated new headlights in the car that are lighter than before to shave weight wherever possible. You can see large aggressive shapes, aggressive styling, huge cooling needed throughout the car, also openings for downforce to help the car stick to the ground. You can see the opening at the back of the wheel arch just to release the high pressure air, different turning vanes to direct the air for cooling again, and even a scoop on the roof to help with that as well, to keep that ginormous engine nice and cool. Now, round at the back, this wing, let's talk a little bit more about this. You can see how the hydraulics work for it. You can see that it's mounted in the center. It literally will pivot from side to side, and the reason it does that, by putting one side up higher in the air further away from the car is more cleaner and can be used better to help with downforce at that side, pushing that side of the car more down to the ground, giving more stick and helping the tyres work even better. Around the back also, we have this incredibly aggressive, again, rear diffuser sticking out beneath those ginormous exhaust pipes at the back as well. But basically, like I said, aggression is the name of the game. Let's come around just to have a quick look inside the cabin, show you what the driver is going to experience inside a Zenvo. So the button to open the door just on the top here. Inside here, greeted by the TSR-S sill plaque. They're only making 5 of these a year, by the way, in Denmark, just 5. They are never going to be common in any form. Small racing-like steering wheel. In fact, everything in here very stripped out. Customized infotainment system with track information, data, that side of things. Carbon, this unique finish as well, which is very, very nice to see in the car. Carbon back seats we talked about. I think you get the point. It's stripped out, it's hardcore. We'll see more of that when we jump in shortly. So, a first little look around. Needless to say, I'm quite excited to hear how it sounds. So I think we should probably work on getting it fired up and then jump in to go experience it out on the roads. Now that is a deep grumble. So the car is built fully in Denmark, and we will jump in now and join Trolls for this drive. So let me take a careful step in here. How are you?
I'm good.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to join you today. Although a wonderfully hot day with no air conditioning in the car.
Yeah.
It's not the ideal combination.
No, probably open windows and camera isn't the ideal combination as well, but tell me if I have to close down.
No, we're all good, we're all good. I'm very much looking forward to it. We can talk a little bit also through the different controls and things as well while we're on the way. So there's a particularly trick system you have in there, but it already feels, we're all clear on my side, it already feels hardcore, I think. The noises, the feel.
Yeah, obviously the car has to be quite stiff if you have to use it as a track day car. So, and we do not have any systems to electronic systems to control that. We just have a lift system where we can go on these bumps here. And
so you can use it.
Yeah, you can use it, but of course there is places in the world where the car would fit better than here.
Yes, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Particularly some wide, perfectly clear Formula 1 track circuit.
Yeah.
So I know already from having a look around the car, but there are multiple different driving modes, and we are currently in the road mode as opposed to race, aren't we?
Yeah. Like the wise thing to do is always to be in the IQ mode when you're on the road, because otherwise you're putting down close to 1200 horsepower all the time, and it's really not possible.
Yeah.
So the IQ settings say it's a must for the road, and then we have the gearbox control here, where you should really use the road settings on the road as well, because it's quite harsh when you're in race.
Yeah. So
we'll probably be able to see that in a while when we get a bit better road.
Sure. So on the left side is the power, 700 IQ mode or the full 1200.
Yeah.
And then on the right side is the road or race settings for the gearbox.
Yeah.
But it has to be said, you know, driving in road mode, only a few shifts so far, but it hasn't felt uncomfortable.
No, it really isn't that comfortable, you can see.
Yeah.
Quite okay, you can feel it's a dog box, but...
So it's a dog box sequential. I know from my experience that when you shift up high in the rev range, it is pure insanity.
Yeah,
quickest shifts you can imagine.
And even worse in this one than
okay. So if I remember rightly, the race mode is now even more hardcore than it was, and the road mode is more gentle.
The race mode now is in this car, because it's meant for going to the racetracks. It is completely shifting without clutch.
Okay.
Just a direct power shift, and of course that makes it harsh and should be used on the track.
Absolutely, you're slamming. And then, just so you can see, guys, in the door mirrors, that wing is absolutely ginormous. Just take a look at the view here. What a beautiful place to be driving in the Red Devil. I particularly like the colour scheme on this car that you've done, the red with the orange.
Yeah, like it was quite hard to do because the orange actually takes, or it has to be white underneath, otherwise it won't get that color. So we're building up layers of color to get that effect.
Carbon, everything. pops on shifting are great. Mini flame balls firing out the back?
No, not there. You have to go
on it. Okay.
A little bit proper. Now it's in race, so it's even harder where I'm getting down.
Okay, yeah.
A little bit.
I was not ready for that at all. Wow, that was ferocious power. Absolutely ferocious.
It is.
And the shifts are just, it just bangs in with the most incredible aggression.
It's getting a bit too much, so
get back to race. Yeah, back in road mode, it smoothens out the shifting, yeah. Quite a dramatic difference in the setup of the gearbox just by the toggle you have there.
We kind of, this is, do you remember the street model where you had to feel, or you had to exceed a point to get the rough shift? There's no power there, it's just not to get. So.
A nice little bit of engine sound.
Yeah,
so how aggressively does it downshift if you drop down?
Not at the you get some RPM?
Yeah. Oh, that's the cool noise. Wow! It's ferocious.
It is.
I don't really know how to describe that. Oh, I could see the wing moving slightly there as well, which was cool.
Yeah.
Maybe on the way up we'll be able to see some of the active wing.
You can, at least you can see the braking, because that will do that when I exceed 60 or something.
Okay, yeah. So active air brake doing its thing there at the back. The pops on the shift are just such a cool sound, even if you're driving fairly gently.
Yeah, exactly. Like in my opinion, like the sound of the engine is very much a part of the driving experience. So just on this model, you see we have this air scoop on the top, right?
Yeah.
And it actually helps the sound inside the cabin.
Okay.
For the driver, you have a little bit more of this normally aspirated engine sound. Let's see if it will do something for us.
And there we go, you can see the wing in action. That's incredible to see. Completely unique.
Yeah.
Where did the idea come from to do that?
To be honest with you, I just had it one day and I thought that it might help, and then we just started some simulations to see what would the power of the wing be, and I'm this kind of person, I wouldn't do it if it was a gimmick, and I wouldn't do it all this complicated system if it was 2% help. It's a massive help, and at 200 kilometers per hour it actually pushes the car sideways up to 12% of the downforce, so it's a lot.
It's quite significant. Well, it's cool to see something innovative that hasn't been done before and see that on the car. I like how on the dashboard you've gone for the horizontal rev counter across the top.
Yeah.
Makes it very visible, easy to see, very large shift selector.
We are now, right now we're developing, which we're also testing in France, that when you switch into race mode, actually the rev counter comes down, because you have a bit better visibility on the rev counter in the bottom of it. So that would be a change in the graphic layout when you are going into race mode.
Yeah, I mean even the dashboard alone though gives the character of the car the sense of how hardcore it actually is. Awesome. Well, thank you ever so much for the little ride in the car. I appreciate it an awful lot. Crazy experience, but no doubt it needs to be out on the track to properly stretch the legs.
Yeah, and you're more than welcome to test it again.
I appreciate it, thank you. Well, that was awesome, even if it's only about 10% of what the car is actually capable of. One thing I will say though, that given that it's the street version of a race car and doesn't have any climate control, it was definitely very, very hot. The car was originally spec'd by the factory, of course, for Danish climates, not the heat that we have here in the south of France. Anyway, hopefully the customer cars, like I said, up to 5 a year, are going to find their way onto tracks and be driven in anger. But while we're here, let's take another little look around at some more details that I have noticed while we've been back here, just studying it a little bit more. In particular, the aero side of things and just how open it is. So obviously all of the meshes are incredibly open to start straight through towards the engine and components inside. But you'll notice even back here, the direct openings, obviously kicking stones out when you drive across a car park like this, but for airflow to come through the car. Similar story around towards the front. You can spot down here, just behind the front wheels, full openings again on the bare exposed carbon fibre down at the bottom. And I'm also going to show you the finish to their carbon fibre, where they have even incorporated a design directly into the top surface of it. So you can see here the Zenvo graphics written out over the front. Actually, this is a cool angle. Look at that scoop. As Trolls was mentioning while we were driving, the extra noise you hear, the suction coming in. So the way you actually open up the back is that you pivot the wing rearwards so that the whole rear clam can then hydraulically open up, and we saw that at Geneva to get a good look at the engine. Pure sheet of carbon fibre when you look inside. But this, it's just completely innovative. As we talked about, it's not something that has been seen before. Oh, look, even the badge is carbon fibre at the back. That's very nice. Nice touch right there. And you can see a little bit through the slats on the rear deck at the back as well. And then, of course, the savagery of the whole thing. An absolute weapon. Angry, aggressive beast in every possible way. I think the term they use is that it is a brutal masterpiece. And I think that is pretty accurate from this experience of the TSR-S. So there we have it. A big thanks to Zenvo, a big thanks to Trolls for taking me out in the car. I hope you guys have enjoyed seeing a little bit about it, hearing the car out on the roads. And yeah, I've definitely had an awesome experience. So big thanks to them, and thank you to you as always for watching the video. I appreciate your support, and I hope to see you again next time. Cheers.